Yeah?
1, 2, 3, Warriors!
Every shirt has its own story. I want to explore the stories that represent our history, our culture, and our future.
We don't have to follow that kind of, affiliated, constrained, branding of football, and actually we're here, and we're just gonna do our own thing.
I might be the manager, but I'm not different from any supporter or player, or we've all got the same responsibility. We all got to bring everybody together, but it's not the players, it's not the management, it's everybody.
Hi, I'm Gemma Granger, Conwy Women's National Team Manager.
And then you see the referee put the whistle to his mouth, and that was the best feeling ever.
Every shirt has its own story. I want to explore the stories that represent our history, our culture, and our future.
The idea was basically to create a jersey that we hadn't necessarily seen before, that obviously spoke that sort of zeitgeist of Wales and what they sort of stand for. Spoke about the national identity, so the graphic sort of gives an impression or speaks that sort of dragon scale, so it's wearing that your dragon on your shirt.
Yeah.
So it's not just the crest, but obviously you're embodying the dragon.
I remember the game because we scored one of the best goals I've seen at international level. I thought the way they played it was phenomenal.
That's the most important game for me. If you look at the game where we qualified that night.
You don't realise how much you miss something until it's gone. Being back here, you realise how much we've missed days like this.
You know you're that close now. You don't want anything to go wrong or not do anything that's not going to give you the best chance to qualify.
Good evening and welcome to the Red Wall on Tour. It's a brand new show being streamed live on the FAW social media channels. Tonight we've got football chat, we've got comedy, we've got music, and of course we have Welsh culture as well. I feel like a bit of a Jules Holland right now. I don't know about you. I don't even know what that makes you, but tell us where we are and why we're here.
We are in the Canton Liberals Club in Cardiff. Fantastic venue it is, and good to see a good crowd here as well. And we are joined by some very special guests. We've got rising stars Fionn Price and Elena Cole, and also we have David Giles and Ian Walsh. Exciting evening, Abby.
It is indeed, and we've got comedy. We're giving you a night off because normally we just take the mick out of you all night, but we're giving you the night off tonight. We have got Drew Taylor, which you're very excited about. I do know that very well. And of course, we have Los Blancos as well. Music from those a little bit later on. But now let's tuck into the action, shall we? Let's get to our guests. Let's have a little discussion. Of course, that huge match last night. There's no sugarcoating that first half, guys. There is no sugarcoating it. It was poor. The tactics were probably wrong. Would you agree? Gilo, we'll start with you. Would you agree? We got the tactics wrong in the first 45.
Yeah, I would, Abby. But, you know, the manager has to make a decision. He thought about going with pace up front, but never really worked for us. And I'm just so glad that we went in 1-0 down rather, because I think if the USA had scored again, we could have been in real trouble. Because obviously, you know, coming out the second half, we were much better. Couldn't find a goal. Gareth Bale scored at the end with a penalty, but how can I say? I'm so relieved, but we were lucky to get away with a draw last night.
And Fionn, would you say as well that Kiefer Moore, it was screaming out for him, wasn't it, in that first half? We knew that's what we needed because we were playing those long balls forward. We needed that target man, didn't we?
Yeah, we definitely needed that target man. I think you can hear by my voice, I was shouting at the TV. Didn't quite get through first half, but you know, the signs of a good manager is somebody who notices and makes change, and he did. And I thought we were quality second half, and hopefully we can take that into the Iran game next.
Would you say Wayne Hennessy, of course, picked to start in goal, hadn't started since the Ukraine game? Was that a bit of a shock for you?
Yeah, can I just first say, before we go on about who to blame and who not to blame here, it's very difficult. You know, we're all pundits at the end of the day. All the fans here tonight, we're all pundits. We all think we know what the best is. When you go into a tournament of this magnitude, you have a plan to start with. And the plan sometimes doesn't come off. And as we were saying, managers make decisions at halftime to change things. So there's no blame attached to anybody here. It's just the first half was very slow for us. We allowed USA to have too much of the ball too early. We didn't push ourselves forward enough. And then at halftime, we changed it. So all in all, Robbie Page has got a plan, and we've all got to work with that plan, because it's not just something that's happened overnight. This is a build-up of months and months and months. And he knew from the first time that, what his first team was going to be. Now, whether that was wrong, whether that was right, halftime told us that it was wrong. So he changed it. And then we've got something out of the game, which was very important. But there's no blame attached to anybody here. It's a long process to get where we are. And the most important thing that we got something from that first game.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Can't say further than that. Elena, what did you make of the game? I mean, where did you watch it for a start?
Well, I was in my house on my sofa, drinking my cup of life. And then I thought it was a shambles. Like, first off, absolute shambles. Couldn't string two passes together. And then Rob Page changed it in the second half. Kiefer Moore, hold up play, spreading balls everywhere. Yeah. Thought I changed, yeah.
You need to say what you think. Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
Stop sitting on the fence.
But no, I mean, it's just great. I think it's key, isn't it, to get off to a good start. And I think a point against USA, I think that's a reasonably good start, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It is a good start. The main thing, it's a World Cup. I've never played there. Walshy's never played there. Some of our greatest players have never played there. So the one thing you don't want to do is lose the first game. Getting a draw. We know now what we've got to do. We've got to make sure we beat Iran by a few goals, comfortably, really, because I think it's going to come down to goal difference, who's going to qualify out of us and the USA probably. That's what it'll be. But, after the second half performance, I think Rob will realise now that perhaps I did... No, I didn't make mistakes, is what she said. At the end of the day, we're all there. It's a World Cup match. He thought he put out a team that could do well. It didn't do well the first half, but he changed it round. So we have got players. So Brannon Johnson obviously is going to be one to come in. Kiefer Moore definitely will be another. So, and I just hope some of the boys that limped off last night will be okay for Friday as well. There's a massive... I think tomorrow now is our massive game. Sorry, not tomorrow, Friday.
And a little word on Nico Williams as well, because of course he came out after the game saying that he'd had heartbreak just hours before that game, finding out that his granddad had passed away. He probably put in the best performance on the pitch last night. How much character does that show to go through such turmoil when you're so far away from home as well, to then conduct yourself in that manner?
But the other thing that people don't realise, Abby, is that players are human beings as well. You know, fans think of them just thinking they're out there, they're on the telly, they're playing, they're doing as best as they can. At the end of the day, they've got families, they've got mums, they've got dads, they've got kids. And for something like that, and if he's really close to a family member, you could see after the game the emotion. And there was a couple of clips, hasn't there been, about him saying it was for you, Grant, and how he looked to the sky. So fantastic. Look, listen, Welsh footballers, we've always got character, we've always got passion, we've always got heart. Whether we're ultimately good enough, time will tell. But something like that for Nico was fantastic, and I really felt for him. And I've got to admit, a little tear came to my cheek when I saw him crying and realised what the situation was.
And we do have to touch upon as well a few of the controversies around this tournament. Of course, I think it's fair to say that a number of us would probably be at the World Cup had it been staged at a different place, and morally we could have accepted going to the tournament. Of course, Laura McAllister spoke so eloquently last night about the trouble she had getting into the ground with her rainbow hat on. She wasn't able to. She did manage to get, as she called it, that little moral victory and get it into the ground. Just a word on that, and whether that's taken a little edge off this tournament for you guys, because for me it certainly has, despite this being the first World Cup where I've had a vested interest with my country qualifying. It's taken a little bit of an edge off for me. I don't know about you.
I'm a footballer, ex-footballer, you know, and I totally understand where everybody's going with this, but I think at this stage, when we're in the start of the competition, we've got to concentrate on the football. I think the players are out there, it's difficult for them. What goes on in the bigger sense, the political sense, is, you know, we will only get there bit by bit by showing our determination against people like this. That's great. But for me, personally, now get on with the football. Let's get on with the football. Let's get behind the boys. Let's get behind the boys.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, and you know, I think it's an important point, isn't it? We know that these political things are going on and what have you, but now the football started, I think the players especially will probably just be concentrating on that rather than all the stuff going on in the media and stuff like that now, won't they?
Yeah, I think, you know, it's amazing for us to go out there, and we need to show what Wales can produce on that stage in terms of football. So for the players, they have an opportunity to showcase their voice for a lot of people, but at the end of the day, we are there for football, and I think there's a lot of people now who can take a stand, who are outside the football, who can potentially do the talking. But again, it has raised the profile. We've got that promotion there, and a lot more people now are aware of the situation. So there's two sides of it, but we are there for the football, so we need to focus on that.
Most definitely. And of course, we do have that point from our first game against America. We'll have plenty more talk coming up. But before we tuck into some more topics, let's have a look at a little package from Lawrence Mora. He's lucky enough to be out in Qatar. Let's see what he said.
Shmai, hello everyone. Listen, it's the day after Wales' 1-1 draw with the USA. I don't know how you guys are feeling, but everyone we've been chatting to here in Doha has been probably emotionally drained. The anthem was incredible in the stadium, absolutely incredible. 64 years of hurt, all disappearing. The game, well, the first half, obviously, as you know, was absolutely terrible. And the second half was fantastic. Bale's equaliser, and then at the end, I think everyone was just absolutely done in. Been chatting to people all over Doha today, getting a sense of how they're feeling. More content coming on the FAW channels soon for that. But just wanted to say as well, I hope you have a great evening in Canton, Libs, because what a fantastic club you are. We know the brilliant work that you all do in the community. We've been following that story for a while, so we were super proud to be with you tonight. Have a great evening. Keep up that awesome work. And come on, Cymru. We can do it against Iran. We can still do it.
Yeah, and it's absolutely great. I think Lawrence is right there. Great to see Lawrence living the dream out there in Qatar as well, isn't it? Well, we're stuck here in the rainy Cardiff. But let's just have a look now. I'll be at the some of the socials here, and yeah, some comments coming in. Hello from Budapest. That's quite exciting, isn't it? But yeah, Amahid. Is Ampadu okay?
Guitar, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. Come on, Wales, kick England's backside. Yeah, I think we can all get behind that, can't we? But yeah, get involved in the comments section, and yeah, it'd be great to hear from you as the show goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. And just on that comment, the thing that I really like is that there has been so much talk. We knew it would be the case from the moment the draw was made, and I had this from a number of England fans who were in the pub yesterday. They were asking, you know, what did Wales fans think when that draw was made? And I do think it is always the same, isn't it? It's always that we know we're going to get that hype around England again. We know that all the talk is going to be about how they want to beat us 5-0 and how they're going to do this. And we just quietly go about our business. That is largely how we do things, isn't it, Elena?
Yeah, well, obviously England's always been a big club to play, and obviously they got to the finals of the Euros like last year, didn't they? Very close to winning it, but it's all England, isn't it? It's in the newspaper, on TV. Nothing about Wales. They speak about Wales for 2 minutes and half an hour on England, so we don't really have a choice, do we? So
we just do our speaking on the pitch, I think it's fair to say. But that tie, it is, of course, the third match. We've got to get the 3 points against Iran first. But that game against England, how much chance do you think we've got in that one realistically?
We got every chance, without a shadow of doubt. David and I played back before a lot of you were born, by the way, when we beat England 4-1 at Wrexham, and we both scored that game. We went, and England had beaten Argentina, the '78 World Cup winners, and we'd played them a year or so later, and England were a very, very good side. But you can't take away the fact that when you're a Welshman and you put on that Welsh shirt, what it does to you. You don't care who's ahead of you. You don't worry whether they're world stars. You just get together jointly, you work together as a team, and you do your best. And we fought and we scrapped and we did everything. So going to these boys, and I think they've got the same attitude, the same presence. Everybody's behind them. There's no, in my opinion, I think we've got every chance of beating England. England are always very proud, very confident. They'll always beat little old Wales. But when you've got 11 versus 11, anything can happen. And that's what makes the difference. And of course, we've got a chance of beating them.
I was just going to say, I wasn't born then, Ian. Thanks for bringing that up. But yeah, just about.
I think you were the only one that he wasn't referring to there, actually.
But I've seen it on YouTube many times, and it just struck me that day. I think you alluded to it there. You didn't look at reputations. You looked at 11 v 11, and I think the Wales team have got to have that attitude, and I think they will going into the game, won't they, against England?
You're spot on. You know, when we went into that game, you know, we played a lot of games at Wrexham, and it was a great place for us to play at the time. But you know, you've got to go into that game with a bit of confidence, thinking that. My always thought was they think they're going to beat us easily. But they're not going to beat us easily. That's the thought that I had. And with the talent that we had in the team, and the talent they've got in this team as well, it's very doable.
Absolutely. And you have actually teed us up perfectly. It's almost like this was planned, because we now have a bit of footage from the Arts of Wales shirts footage that you filmed a little bit earlier on, of course. Let's take a little look at this.
Put it on the Welsh shirt for the way you just, unless you've done it, and we're fortunate to have done it, you can't tell anybody. You can't explain it to anybody. Yes, everybody's got the passion and everything, but when you actually do that and you get your first touch of the ball and you do a good touch of the ball, then you feel $1 million. You know, I think you can never, ever tell anybody what that feeling is like.
I must say, a glorious football ground to be doing that filming in as well. I'm just going to get that in there, of course. But Fionn, we're going to come to you next because we are going to talk about Cardiff City, of course. You are top. There we go.
I'll be slipping that.
Yeah,
Slipping it.
absolutely. You are top, of course, of the Adran Premier. Just talk about the season you've had so far.
It's been incredible. The girls have been phenomenal so far. Last year we set the foundations for this year. We want to achieve big, dream big. We've gone into the season rearing to go. We've been fantastic. We've gelled together really well. Last year it was all about the Crocs, and this year everyone's wearing Crocs. And I mean, look at the scores. The Crocs do the talking. But yeah, delighted with the start of the season. But we're just taking each game as it comes, and we're really enjoying our football, so it's great.
And of course, the success the national team has had, how much of an impact have you seen that have at club level? Because against Abergavenny, you had a record crowd, over 5,000 people in attendance at the Cardiff City Stadium. That must have been such a remarkable moment in Welsh football.
For me personally, it's probably up there with one of the greatest achievements. It was so nice to see not just young girls, but boys coming down to support the women's game. It's been a long time coming. We had a game there last year and the year before, so it's really nice to see we're getting in those games, getting those crowds in, and playing at stadiums like the Cardiff City Stadium. The girls were buzzing. It's a massive boost for the Adran League and young inspiring female footballers, which we're far from when I was younger. So it's incredible, and it was a massive delight to even have some of my children from my school see their teacher play. Apart from the next morning when I was back in the classroom, wasn't quite the same stage. Yeah, it was phenomenal. Words can't describe.
And Elena, you're at such an exciting stage because you're now coming through and you're seeing all of this. You're seeing all of the attention. You've been dubbed by many as the next Jess Fishlock. I mean, what an incredible tagline to have on your shoulders. But you strike me already, and I'm sure everyone watching this will realise you're an incredibly relaxed character. So I can't imagine having that tag on your shoulder bears too much weight for you, does it?
No, well, obviously I used to do acting, and that's just made me more relaxed in front of cameras, in front of large crowds. But yeah, it's an honour to be called like the next Jess Fishlock. Mental, because she is in my position. But yeah, it's just amazing because she is like my role model, and seeing like the Adran League with the attendance, just that could be me one day, which makes me like very proud to be playing football at this age. Yeah,
it can be you. Cardiff City, if you're watching.
We've got to ask you though, what's better, football or acting?
Oh, football. Any day of the week.
Yeah, I think you've got a future in punditry after tonight, I've got to say as well. But no, fantastic.
Most definitely. Right, as I mentioned a little earlier, we do like to make fun of you quite a lot on this show. I mean, you do make yourself an incredibly easy target, but tonight we thought we'd give you the night off. We'd get a pro in, we'd get a professional to do this, and it is someone who has performed on top stages before, not just top stages before, but nothing could have I can't get my words out, could I? Prepared him to play here at the Canton Liberal. Let's give it up. It is Drew Taylor, everyone.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's lovely to be here as part of the Red Wall on Tour Live. I would rather be in Qatar, but one of the many reasons why I'm not in Qatar, I'm actually very nervous, anxious flyer. If any of you guys are in the audience this evening, what sets me off when I get on a plane is when I see those laminated safety instructions in the seat in front of you, and they set me off because they're not very realistic, are they? In the picture, the plane has landed perfectly on the water. None of the wings have snapped off. Nothing's on fire. Nobody's been eaten by a shark. Even the man going down the rubber slide has got a gin and tonic in his hand. You know, it's not very realistic because I'm quite tall, quite large. I'd often get asked, would you mind sitting by the emergency exit? In case of emergencies, will you help others exit the plane? Say, yeah, I can do that, no problem. I say, women and children first. Women and children first. Get the sharks nice and full. But it's nice to be out post-pandemic and glad there's global sporting events going on. Might never seen this in the middle of the pandemic. But how about you guys during the pandemic? I just sat around watching a lot of television. I decided to rewatch that BBC documentary series, Louis Theroux's Weird Weekends. You've probably seen it. It's about 20 years old now. And after rewatching Louis Theroux's Weird Weekends, I came to the conclusion that the weirdest thing about Louis Theroux's Weird Weekends is Louis Theroux. Like, he's got all that TV money, yet he looks like he cuts his own hair and wears his father's clothes. I can't quite understand what's going on, but there was an episode I watched, quite a shocking episode that upset me, really. Quite a famous episode when Louis goes to visit the Westboro Baptist Church. If you haven't seen this episode, Louis goes out to visit the Westboro Baptist Church. They're a far-right, fundamentalist Christian group who take the teachings of the Bible and twist them into horrible, hateful, untrue messages. Like, a big one for them is, God hates gay people. Are we sure about that, Westboro Baptist Church? Didn't you read that part of the Bible where God makes Joseph a fabulous coat? So you were trying to tell us God hates gay people, while God is flat out on his sewing machine, making a garment that's literally the LGBTQ plus flag. And he doesn't stop there. He then goes and writes him a musical as well. Come on, the signs are there. But guys, this has been lovely. I think I'll finish up with a bit of a history lesson for you now. I don't want to patronise anyone, but if you bear with me a moment. As I'm sure you're all aware, this is the Welsh flag, the Ddraig Goch. Now, you may or may not know, Wales didn't become a country until 1952. This bad boy didn't appear until 1959. At that point, a lot of flags' existence, a lot of ideas to go off, and a flag actually represents what a country's all about. When Wales pitched their flag, they said, right, Wales, have you got your flag ready? They said, yeah, we can have green for the green grass. Oh, good start, I like it. Anything else? Yeah, we can have white for the sky. Come on, that's a bit boring, Wales. Anything else? Yeah, we can have red. Red's white, green. Come on, that's a bit boring. That's a bit like Italy. That's a bit like Hungary. Oh, no. The red's not going to be a stripe. Okay, interesting. Well, what's it going to be then? Well, nothing too over the top. Just a big, massive dragon? Oh, what? Yeah, just a big dragon. Right, Wales. There's 34 countries with animals on their flag, but they're all real. Please, can we have a dragon on our flag? The only thing we could think of is a big picture of John Charles. All right, Wales, you can have a dragon on your flag. You better promise he's not doing some stupid pose that makes it look like he's saying talk to the hands. Of course, West Dragon was facing controversies too. We had the Tokyo Olympics last year. Back at the Beijing Olympics in 2008, China actually banned the Welsh Dragon from the Olympics. And what that meant was, every time a Welsh athlete won a medal, they couldn't show the flag off. Think about that for a moment. All those years of training, hours of hard work and determination. Every time a Welsh athlete won a medal, they couldn't show the flag off. Turns out it wasn't that much of a problem. But it's a principle, you know. But at the end of the day, ironic thing with this flag, made in China. Thank you very much, guys. You've been lovely. Cheers.
Yeah, you're watching the Red Wall here on tour, of course, here at the Canton Liberal. And before we move on and introduce our next guest, let's take a little look at the work the Canton Libs are doing within the local community.
The important thing is to have a presence in a community that represents the community. We're so proud of Canton and its diversity. We've said it so many times. When you look at the pitch, whether it's the boys or the girls, it's got to resemble what Canton Centre looks like on a Saturday afternoon. You know, good, bad and indifferent, and making sure that we're inclusive.
Dwi wedi bod yn chwarae am tua 4 neu 3 blwyddyn, a dwi'n hoffi chwarae gyda ffrindiau mwyaf, oherwydd chi'n mwy fel cyfforddus yn chwarae gyda nhw, a dwi'n credu dwi'n joio mwy yn Canton Libs na unrhyw le arall.
Poppy's been playing now for, since the start of the season, really. So she's a lot more confident. She works well as a team. We've noticed in terms of in school, she plays football a lot now. So I think her interest in the game has improved. So she's taken every opportunity to kind of get involved in sport, be active, and play with her friends. We've just got passionate people, people that care about what we do in a community, making sure that we give every girl a chance to play the game, to feel welcome, and to hopefully make sure that the parents see their kids enjoy it. Making sure that we're here regularly and consistently, come rain or shine, is important, so they know whatever the weather, whatever the numbers, they can come and enjoy their football, make some friends, and maybe score a goal or two.
I think Canton Liv should win the Community Club of the Year because it's just a really supporting team. The coaches are amazing and they support you whatever your decision is.
The best thing about playing for Canton Lids is probably about how much the team players are like really supportive. I feel like we're one big family.
If we feel that we're not representing our community as well, we ask ourselves, what can we do about that? Do we need to be speaking to other parts of the community to make sure that they know about us, that they know that they're going to be welcome and that they're going to enjoy it?
Yeah, absolutely superb work from all involved, and it's a real pleasure to be here this evening. Drew, thank you very much for joining us. Fionn looks slightly different, as you can see in this section. Really fantastic to hear some of your work there. We just want to start off by asking you, what's some of the funniest things you've seen from the World Cup so far? I know we've not been going long, but have you got any funny moments from this tournament so far?
Oh, I've been enjoying all of it, really. I think when I was watching the commentary for Qatar and Ecuador, and Dion Dublin was trying to say, right, this is why it's not a goal. Oh no, I can't see why it's not a goal. Dion, so VAR again, sort of letting people down a little bit. Was it a goal? Was it not? It was a bit of a sort of dodgy decision, really. But the commentator about to lay into the goal and not be able to do it was quite amusing, really. I won't say that the clash of heads nearly being a kiss for the Iranian players being amusing, perhaps, but that would have been a bit of one in the eye for the political sort of aspect as well, wouldn't it? But yeah, it's been really enjoyable so far. It's a new World Cup so far, but it's a good World Cup so far.
What did you make of the Wales game last night? I mean, it was we had to go through the mill in the first half there, didn't we? But we got the result in the end.
Yeah, well, I'm actually cat sitting for my cousin at the moment. My cousin's in Australia, so if there's any burglars watching, no funny business, please. But I watched it with Gareth, Jack, and Basil, the three cats. And first half, I don't know if we've all been guilty of this. I think we've been thinking there's 6 points in the bag, and we got a big game in a week's time, and that's not the case. You know, USA are a very, very good team. They've got on paper perhaps a good a team as Wales. Come off time, I was a little bit nervous / disappointed, I think, but a couple of changes at half time in the dressing room tactically, and it was literally a game. I know it's a cliche, but it was literally a game of two halves. People have said about Kiefer Moore coming on, but I think Nico Williams really came into his own in this. We had a midfield in the second half, and we didn't in the first half. And as you know, midfield is the basis of everything we do on a football field. So yeah, game of two halves, but 1-1, we'll take that definitely.
You mentioned the midfield there. Giles, I'll come to you. How important is it, though, that we get Joe Allen back in the heart of that midfield?
Massive. Joe Allen has been a great servant to Wales, a great player. He's played, at the top level most of his life. He's at Swansea now. I know he's not been playing, but he's so important because he just wins so many balls, cuts out play, sets up other people. And I think with Joe Allen in there, we'll get... Because let's be honest, Gareth Bale and Aaron Ramsey didn't have their best of games last night. But Joe Allen playing, he gets the ball, wins the ball, and he gives it to them in the areas they want to be. They don't want to be back here. They want to be further up there. So it's massive for us to get Joe back. And we all know now that, like you were just saying now, we took it, well, not took it for granted, but we all thought, beat USA, beat Iran, we're going to qualify. Now we've got to get out against Iran and we've got to get goals. So it means we've got to come out of the starting blocks quick. We've got to create chances quickly and we've got to take them. We need to be a couple of goals up at half time and then if you have to make changes, then bring fresh legs on and keep going. In that game, we'll need to score in the last 15 minutes. I think we need 4 goals, to be honest. I really do.
Yeah, another player, sorry, Tommy, another player who came into his own yesterday was, of course, Ampadu. I'm actually old enough. I watched Ampadu's father in action. That makes me feel incredibly old. But Ampadu...
Try being this old. I commentated on it.
Okay, you win that battle.
Oh,
he was... I haven't got a prize for you. Maybe you can take on the Plastic World Cup. There you go. That's your reward for being older than me. But Ampadu, such an important role, very well fulfilled yesterday.
But I think we're missing a point here, you see, and being totally honest, as I always try to be. I think the likes of Ramsey and Bale and Joe Allen, they haven't played enough football. So they're only going to be moments in the game where they're going to be brilliant. But at this level, your moments have to be consistent throughout the 90 minutes. So sometimes you're carrying players like Bale and Ramsey, dare I say it, and Joe Allen, especially Joe, because he hasn't played. It'll be really difficult for him. So it's the likes of Ampadu, it's the like of Williams, it's the like of, Kiefer Moore. It's these players who can be consistent for 90 minutes. We are relying on our great players. And don't get me wrong, they are great players, Ramsey and Bale especially. But we'll only see moments in the 90 minutes of them. We won't see them through 90 minutes. And that could be a problem for us.
How do you see the Iran game going? Because it's going to be an interesting game. They're coming off the back of a heavy defeat. But, I mean, it's a really, in many ways, it's a must-win game for Wales, isn't it?
It is. And I think England sort of set the stall out early, beating them so convincingly, 6-2. But there was moments in the game where England clearly took your foot off the gas a little bit. I think, as fans and as players, you've got to remember these Iranian players get paid to play football as well. They know mugs, they know amateurs. And I think if Wales can get 3-4 goals, but then accidentally concede 1 or 2 like England did, it's a total flip. Honestly, it'd be a victory, but would it be a comprehensive enough victory to really get Wales where they want to be? So like you said, it's not 4 goals, it's a 4-goal lead. Wales really need, to be honest, because England set the bar high now. Are USA going to beat England? I don't know. So this Iran game is a pivotal game in the group now, massively.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually don't think the USA offered a great deal themselves yesterday. I thought in that first half where they were on the front foot, they still didn't do a great deal with the ball when they had it. So that's going to be an interesting one for certain. But should we have a little look at what people are saying on social media, Tommy?
Absolutely. Let's have a look, shall we? And, good to see someone from Costa Rica getting involved there. Hello from Costa Rica, the Hispanic Wall. Great to hear from you. If we win, we might actually have a chance of going through, depending on what everyone else goes through. I think it could come down to goal difference, this group, couldn't it? I think it's going to be quite tight between some of the teams. What else have we got here? Hello from Abertawe. There we go, a friend of yours, no doubt. But And one in Gymraeg, bydd Cymru bach yn gorffen uwchben Lloegr unwaith eto on a group. Let's hope so. Absolutely. But keep your comments coming in.
Indeed. And we've been showing you some clips, haven't we, throughout this series from our fantastic shows here on Red Wall Plus. That's not going to change this evening because Eat Sleep Media and Greg Kane have teamed up to create a fantastic new show called Building the Red Wall. You can go to redwallplus.wales in order to see the entire thing. But now we're going to give you a little taster and wet your whistle for that one.
How would you describe that period if you had to describe it in one word? What would you say?
Chaotic. On the pitch. Yeah.
What about off the pitch?
Fantastic.
Mae gen i broblem. Gen I erioed. Dwi'n stopio siarad am bêl-droed. Gen I broblem.
I think how you can sum it up for me, you didn't necessarily go for the footballing angle. You went for the social side of things.
We used to go away to away matches for a whole week and we wouldn't even discuss the football.
People didn't wear replica shirts. They didn't sing the anthem.
That's the way it was back then, you know.
Come on, Cymru, either.
There was a point where we used to sing, especially on away trips, we'll never qualify, we'll never qualify.
We'll never qualify.
Because we never did we?
Footballing wise, we were getting hammered most of the time.
I remember going to one game in the 90s, we won and we haven't won for so long, and everyone was singing Jingle Bells. All the fun is to see Wales win the way. And we haven't won the way for like 3 or 4 years.
but just to pick up a point or 3 points was a bonus back then, but didn't stop us going.
Yeah,
Right, our guests have changed yet again. We are keeping you on your toes. We now have Los Blancos for you, 2 members of Anyway. Give them a round of applause. You can give yourselves one as well, don't worry.
Very modest, guys. Very modest.
You don't need to be modest at all. Before we tuck into the football, just tell us a little bit more about your band and what sort of music it is.
Well, I don't know. We started off 2016, and then just a bunch of mates really. Enjoyed playing music and listening to music, so I thought, why not give it a go? And then sort of went from there really, and we haven't looked back since really. So yeah.
And you've brought out a record for the World Cup as well. Tell us a bit about that.
It's just, well, I don't know really. She asked us to do a song, so we thought, tick our box and we'll do it. Yeah, it's just been a good chance. Fun doing the music video and everything, and it's a bit of a fun song, really. Nothing too serious.
There's been some fantastic music as well. I mean, I know there was a few songs made for the Euros in 2016, but I think we're up to about 400 Wales songs for this World Cup now. But but no, it's fantastic to see just support from the musical scene as well.
I'd say definitely. I think music and football sort of comes together quite well. I remember watching the Italy game in 2002. I think the Manics were playing before the game, and sort of from there really you're thinking, well, we're chanting away and singing the bars and stuff. It's been sort of an integral part of the footballing sort of scene, really, singing along to it. Yeah.
And we can tell by the calibre of shirt on display here that you are clearly big Wales fans. Just tell us about how long you've been supporting Wales, how long you've been following them, how much heartache you've been through. There's not been enough misery on this show, has there?
No, I think, from the cradle, really, both of it, and the rest of the band as well. So you went to Belgium a few weeks ago, and I remember the first sort of, the rush, I think, and
Not as much pain as everyone else probably, but just that Euro 2004, I really thought we were going to do it, and that was heartbreak really when we were younger.
But no, it's been all good since.
That heartbreak has channeled itself into your music, though, lads. So it's a positive.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, some of the songs are a bit sad and depressing, but so it sort of spurred us on to write the song really, and all the heartbreak we've gone throughout the years. So.
What do you think about Wales's performance last night then? And looking ahead to this Iran game, what are your hopes? What are your predictions as well?
10-0 Wales, I hope. So no, it was. I think you could obviously see they were quite nervous for the first half, and maybe didn't play as well as they can. Kiefer Moore obviously made a huge difference, and Brennan Johnson also. He done really well when he came on and sort of give us a bit of a spark really. So it's hopefully better performance than the first half. But it's looking optimistic. Yeah.
And we've spoken about it a bit, haven't we? Walshy mentioned it a little bit earlier about a number of the key players who aren't maybe playing that much for their clubs at the moment. That probably makes Wayne Hennessy's performance and his sharpness even more impressive, that he'd not played since the Ukraine game. You've got someone on the bench who's performing so well in Danny Ward at the moment at club level. He's being kept out because of Wayne Hennessy's performances at international level.
Yeah, he hasn't played, has he?
No, I think he's played once, has he, in the cup or something? But I think it's just his performance against Ukraine must have got him the game against USA. So can't really fault it really.
No. He only had one save to do really throughout the game.
And that was from Joe Rodon, wasn't it?
So no.
Just moving on to the music, lads. I mean, you're a band I've been aware of for some time. Fantastic. I love all your stuff. And how at what point did you realise that you were gonna go on and become a quite a big name in the Welsh music scene?
Are we big? I just said, who are they? Kind of say
in my world, you're big anyway.
But I don't know. I think Wales, especially in speaking in Welsh and singing in Welsh, it's sort of small. No, there's not much bands about really, but no, it's great now seeing likes of Ad Dwight and we were all fans of Super Furry Animals and Gorkies in the 90s, sort of like Cool Cymru phase. But yeah, trying to follow their footsteps really, and yeah, just trying to do good music that we enjoy playing. So,
superb. And any gigs lined up coming up soon?
There's one tomorrow.
Oh,
Yeah, so
Club Beaver back.
so we'll be playing playing the Bricks in Arall. We've played it once live, and we all
didn't go well.
No, we all balls it up. So
right, okay, stop there. We're gonna have to hear about that, please, if that's okay.
Yeah, I think I came in a bit too early, and
stopped then, didn't we?
Yeah, no.
Go, all right.
We had the last chord, all right though. So no, but we need to practice before tomorrow night. So,
but you're being rather modest. Let's take a little look at the song. We've got it here now. This is, of course, the S4C anthem, and you can watch all Wales games on S4C Live. We want to thank all of our guests here this evening for being part of this show. Tommy, you've been average company, I think, which is definitely an improvement.
I'll take that all day long, Abby. Yeah,
absolutely.
thank you very much.
Right then, let's hear these lads in action. Neither of them come in too early in this one. Let's take it away.
Fi 'di bod yn aros ers oes am yr eang hyn. Chwech be'r blynedd, 5 mis a 2 ddydd, am bwys I Cymru. Fi 'di bod yn meddwl o'r diwedd ac ein dydd, gobaith prin ond cadw ffydd, 2 miliwn o bobl yn sefyll yn dal, bob un yn bricsen yn y wal. Cofio'r gael ar y bodyn yn bwrw'r bar. Joey Jordan yn chwalu gobaith blad. Am y glin yn torri'r calon yn ddeithlon. Ond a Bale a Ramsey ni'n mynd yn llawn gobeithion. Fi 'di bod yn aros ers oes am yr eiliad hyn. Chwech be'r blynedd, 5 mis a 2 ddydd, am bwys I Cymru. Fi 'di bod yn meddwl o'r diwedd ac ein dydd, gobaith prin ond cadw'r ffydd, 2 miliwn o bobl yn sefyll yn dal, bob un yn bricsen yn y wal. Y wal goch, mae pob tor calon teimlo'n beth o ffwrdd. Cymru fach sydd a sef wrth y bwrdd. O mor braf byddai gafel yn y cwpan, ond blaid o pleser yw just cael bod ma. Fi 'di bod yn aros ers oes am yr eiliad hyn. Chwech be'r blynedd, 5 mis a 2 ddydd, am bwys I Cymru. Fi 'di bod yn meddwl o'r diwedd ac ein dydd, gobaith prin ond cadw'r ffydd, 2 miliwn o bobl yn sefyll yn dal, bob un yn bricsen yn y wal. Y wal goch. Bod yn aros ers oes am yr eiliad hyn. Chwech be'r blynedd, 5 mis a 2 ddydd, am bwys I Cymru. Fi 'di bod yn meddwl o'r diwedd ac ein dydd, gobaith prin ond cadw'r ffydd, 2 miliwn o bobl yn sefyll yn dal, bob un yn bricsen yn y wal. Y wal goch.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, warrior!
Every shirt has its own story. I want to explore the stories that represent our history, our culture, and our future.
We don't have to follow that kind of, affiliated, constrained, branding of football, and actually we're here, and we're just gonna do our own thing.
I might be the manager, but I'm not different from any supporter or player, or we've all got the same responsibility. We all got to bring everybody together, but it's not the players, it's not the management, it's everybody.
Hi, I'm Gemma Granger, Conwy Women's National Team Manager.
And then you see the referee put the whistle to his mouth, and that was the best feeling ever.
Every shirt has its own story. I want to explore the stories that represent our history, our culture, and our future.
The idea was basically to create a jersey that we hadn't necessarily seen before, that obviously spoke sort of that sort of zeitgeist of Wales and what they sort of stand for. Spoke about the national identity, so the graphic sort of gives an impression or speaks that sort of dragon scale, so it's wearing that your dragon on your shirt.
Yeah.
So it's not just the crest, but obviously you're embodying the dragon.
I remember the game because we scored one of the best goals I've seen at international level. I thought the way they played it was phenomenal.
That's the most important game for me. If you look at the game where we qualified that night.
You don't realise how much you miss something until it's gone. Being back here, you realise how much we miss days like this.
You know you're that close now. You don't want anything to go wrong or not do anything that's not going to give you the best chance to qualify.